Okay, so before planning your tiers, you need to make some considerations about your goal. First of all, we mentioned already that you need to have a public goal and a real goal. How much of a stunt is your public goal? If your real goal is 35,000 of something, and you put a 5,000 public goal, you know that the difference is 30,000. So you need to be aware that that 30,000 is your risk. And you can decrease your risk increasing the public goal or decreasing the real goal. Of course, it's not always possible to decrease the real goal because there are some fixed expenses when you're making a game. So be very aware of how much risk do you want to take when you launch a campaign. For this reason, use the pledge planner that we introduced in module 1 and try to figure out how many purchases of the average tier, the one that you are betting on, do you need to get to the public goal, and how realistic it is to achieve it in the shortest possible time. Remember the lesson about the algorithm. To get to the real goal, then once you establish how many do you need to get to the public goal, then the campaign is funded and then more people will come in. How many average purchases will you need to get to the real goal? That's the real number that you want to figure out, because once that number is achieved, your risk significantly decreases. Of course, something can still go wrong, but it's a different matter. Remember that when you set up the goal, you need to add some padding for the fees of Kickstarter, padding for taxes, padding for the cost of materials to go up. For example, if you're doing a board game and you need carton and the price of carton raises 20% by the time you get to manufacturing, can you afford that? Have you taken that into account, that things might not go exactly as planned? So always add some padding there. Also consider this: if you barely make it to the public goal, are you ready to invest the difference to your real goal of your own personal money, or are you ready to pull the plug and tell people, yes, we funded, but we thought this would go better, so we think there's too much risk to proceed this way? Because that makes you lose face. People really do not understand this thing of the public and the real goal. You need to have a low public goal so the campaign funds fast, but and if you would put the real goal as public, probably the campaign wouldn't fund as fast. This is a very difficult concept for people to understand. They do not know how much preparation goes into a Kickstarter campaign. They have no clue what kind of calculations you're doing. So it's not a great scenario, the one where you are funded, but then you pull the plug because it's not going as well as possible. And then once you made it to the real goal, have you considered also the stretch goals that you unlocked along the way from the public goal to the real goal in the cost? Because you also have to do those now. So that's something you need to remember and account for. How many tiers do you need? My suggestion is that you keep it as easy as possible. It's not always straightforward to do so, but if you can do it, try to go with 3. It's almost impossible. I don't do it myself, but 3 is the best possible scenario you can have, because people are never paralyzed in their choice when there are just 3 options. That said, I think it is useful to have early birds that maybe expire after 48 hours. An early bird can be the same as another tier but cheaper, or the same as another tier but also include something for free, for example. They expire after 48 hours, and then what is left are actually the tiers you are stuck with for the rest of the campaign. Do not exceed 10. I think after 10 people get really confused about what they're pledging for, and they need to start reading exactly what's in every tier. I think 10 is already quite a lot. So try to simplify, because very often you can make less tiers and then offer more add-ons options, instead of making tiers that are almost the same but with just tiny differences. This is more or less what I would suggest for tiers. Remember that you can always react to what backers are asking you, because sometimes you might not have thought about some tier that makes perfect sense, and then you could add it during the campaign. Or if you unlocked some things that need their own tier that you cannot give away for free, then that's the case when you would add a tier. One thing that I would recommend is that if you have a lot of stretch goals that are just add-ons, then make a tier that includes all of them, so people that want everything, they can just buy that. Also, if you have previous games that are compatible to what you're doing now, and you think people might want to buy those as well, make a tier that has a bundle. One final suggestion I have is that I've seen it in many campaigns. Some tiers are written out like everything included in the previous tier plus this and that. That's a bad way to do it, because it requires people to go read another tier to understand the one that they want to buy. And sometimes this stuff is recursive, so the tier number 3 sends you to tier number 2, and tier number 2 sends you to tier number 1. That's a bad way to do it. Just write everything they get exactly in the tier they're purchasing.